Welcome to Heavenly Pennies with Melissa Grimsley, the podcast to help you follow your intuition, align with your soul purpose, and connect with your higher self. Hey, what's going on, Becky? So happy to have you here on Heavenly Pennies podcast that I'm launching, and so excited and honored to have you as my first guest on the show. Everyone who's listening, Rebecca Dawson, she is 500-hour experienced registered yoga teacher, as well as a licensed yoga therapist. And she is here to share some of her gifts with you all that are tuning in today. So how's it going over there, Becky, in Florida?
Well, it's really great here. I really love the weather, and it's just awesome to be in February with the 65-degree day. So I'm really enjoying it. And after looking at the snow up there in the north, I see that you have a lot of snow this year. It's this is welcome.
We have so much more coming our way too. I'm like, oh man, in my memories, it just came up that I was just in St. Augustine visiting you in Florida 3 years ago. And I was like, man, I would love to be back there with you right now.
Yes, it's a good time. It's a good time. Yes.
Sure. And I know it's a lot different with the, the teaching with the studios. Florida, you said it's pretty much just been running as usual. I know in PA we had some closures, and there's a lot of precautions with the distancing and wearing masks. So how is it down there?
Well, we did close for a little bit. We closed for 2 months, March and April of last year. And then when we started, they started slow opening the gyms and the studios. Then they started to wear masks. But right now, we only wear masks going in and out of the studio, and we are allowed to practice without the mask. So I guess it's a little different than up there, but we still maintain some distance. We're still maintaining 6 feet of distance as well as we can if we have the space. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different, but we've been open now since last May. So
that's good. I know I keep seeing all of your yoga pictures. I know when some of us were shut down here and I was getting a little bit jealous. I'm like, wow, they got that's probably the only, I was actually looking into the yoga teacher trainings too for the 500 hours. And I saw like Florida was the only place in the States that actually had one that was still going on. So I'm glad that you're safe and you're healthy and that you're still practicing your yoga there. So I want to start by kind of sharing with our listeners how you and I met. So I had a yoga instructor who had then recommended you for getting my yoga teacher training, right? When I was, looking into different avenues and considering doing that. And one moment that I want to share with everyone listening and just tell you that I'm so grateful for is the one class that I went to, and it was during a time that I kept seeing signs from the universe. I wasn't clearly reading, and I swore that I was going to move down south and get this job. I kept seeing things everywhere and thought that this was going to happen. But I had just joined this yoga teacher training with you. So I was really struggling, and something spirit told me, go to this class this morning. And I got up out of bed and I went to that class, and you did a reading from Melody Beattie, Journey to the Heart. It's a little torn up. I remember yours was torn up as well because it gets its use. It really does. And you had this reading about the present moment, and it just resonated. That's one of my favorite things about yoga is there are these moments where it's almost like it's just like a pin drop, like clarity just hits you right here, and you get insight in certain things in certain areas, and it just makes so much sense.
It does.
And that was one of those moments. And I know it ended with and then I explained it to you. I said, what is this reading? I need to see it. I need this book. I need to read this to my students when I'm teaching. And you said, you can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. Otherwise, you're missing the golden present. And that resonated with me so much. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And if I move, I move. And if I don't, well, at least I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And it's something that is just so huge and prevalent to everybody, right? Like just to be in that present state.
Right. And not be afraid to take risks. Just be in that present moment, in that space.
I know too, Eckhart Tolle, he's another person that I know that you follow as well. And he says the past has no power over the present moment.
Exactly. Exactly. And everything's happening right now in the present moment. So That's a great thing to keep in mind. Mhm.
Absolutely. So, okay. Also, I want to tell you, because I know purple is your favorite color. I wore my purple shirt today,
Oh,
has
nice.
the purple lipstick, the earrings, and I even painted my nails. So I had to tell you
That's
that, because I
great.
know
That's
at the
great.
end here, we're going to do our violet flame meditation that you're going to guide people through near the end of this show. So really
Yeah.
excited to take part of that.
Yes.
So how about you sharing? I know I mentioned one book that we kind of had during class, but do you have a favorite author or a favorite book that you would like to share with listeners today?
Yes, sure. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel. And it's a short read, but it's a life-changing book. And I would recommend that to everybody. Not necessarily even on the yoga path, but everybody should be reading that book. That will help you tremendously. Also, another book that I was drawn to is Deepak Chopra's Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. And it talks all about aging and how you're supposed to age, and it's all how a lot of it is in our mind, and we're only aging because we are expected to. So this book brings that all about. There's a lot of ways to grow young gracefully, as I should say. So it's not necessarily that when you get to a certain age you can't do anything and you have to stop everything. So if you read that book, he explains everything to you. A lot of it is in our minds, what we can and cannot do. So that was another one. That was a good one. And also another spiritual mentor was Dwayne Dyer. I love Wayne
Love,
Dyer and
love him.
so many of his broadcasts and books. He's great.
Thank you. Awesome. Awesome share for everyone who's listening here. So we covered a lot of things when we were diving in with yoga during your classes. And
Mm-hmm.
especially now, I know when we were talking previously and we were discussing things that were important to speak about in today's show, one thing was pranayama, bringing it back to the breath,
Mm-hmm.
especially now during COVID times, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, pranayama is important, especially now, and it teaches us to increase our breath threshold. So get as much air into our lungs as possible. That's one really great reason, because now with COVID, the problem is a lot in the respiratory tracts. We can't get enough air in and out. So that is one of the ways of improving your breath-centered awareness, and just breathing a big deep inhale with the count of 6 and exhaling the count of 6, but then increasing it by 1 each time until you get to the level where you can't increase it anymore. So anyway, that all helps to provide a good backdrop for health and wellness. Mhm.
Absolutely. I know we did a lot of different breathing techniques too. I mean, we could even share one with the listeners now, Nadi or something. Is there one you want to maybe practice that we can tell listeners how they can channel, to open those pathways for pranayama?
We could do Nadi Shodhana if you want. That's right and left nostril breathing.
Yeah.
You want to
So
try that?
sure, let's do it. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to let you lead the way.
Okay, so what this is done with a mudra, a hand mudra. So you would use your thumb, and then you put the next 2 fingers down, and then you're going to use your ring finger. Okay, and we start off closing off the right nostril just at that little bony part. Okay, and then we start by exhaling through the left. So exhale through the left nostril. Now close off the left. Open the right, inhale right. Close off that right, exhale up. Now we're going to inhale up, close, exhale right. Inhale right, close, exhale up. Then inhale up, close, exhale right. And inhale right, close, and exhale up. And now we're back to where we started.
Yeah, that's a
So
good one.
yes, it's good to yes, it balances your left and right hemispheres of the brain out.
Mhm.
So
Another also just even, inhaling, counting to 4, holding, counting to 4, exhaling,
That's
counting to 4, holding, counting to 4,
the
just to come
ratio.
back to the present moment. Because in addition to helping, the breath, it also, one thing that I've noticed personally is if you're experiencing some anxiety, it can help you to calm the nervous system just by practicing a simple breathing practice.
That's right. It brings you right back to the present moment. That's
Absolutely.
true.
So, how about you share with everyone what it is that you're doing personally with yoga therapy? I know you are lucky enough to be teaching at your own studio there, or down in Florida now. However, a lot of different techniques. I know some people are doing Zoom and everything like that as well.
Mhm.
So, what is it that sets your practice a little bit apart with the yoga therapy?
Okay, so not many people know the difference between yoga therapy and regular yoga classes. So I'll just give you a little bit of an idea. So the term yoga therapy comes from our ancient lineage, it's from the ancient teachings. It's in the modality that adapts the poses to the person's body. So in other words, if a person has specific health concerns or an injury, we're not going to do the regular typical classical poses. We are going to work with that injury and adapt the poses to that injury. If they have a problem with their breath, we'll work with that. If they have asthma, if they have anything like that, we'll work with the pranayama techniques. So we use pranayama, we use meditation, we use the adaptive yoga postures, and it's a holistic approach to yoga as opposed to if you're in a group, everybody's doing the same thing. So
Mm.
this is not the same thing. It's done mostly privately in private sessions, and it can be done on Zoom in private sessions. It can be done in a small group if everybody has the same issue. So if everybody has a problem with their back, then we can do it in a small group. But we work together with the physical therapists, with medical doctors, with chiropractors, and we touch base with all of them to make one inclusive, holistic plan for the individual. So that is the difference between regular yoga and yoga therapy.
I love it. And it's a great layer, another way for people to really dive in and get in tune with their body.
Yes,
Um,
it
so
is.
that's great. So thank you for that sharing of that offering. And
Mhm.
what is it that led you to really jump into your passion of, I know when you were in Pennsylvania, when we had connected, when I did the yoga teacher training, you had
Mhm.
opened your own studio there, and now Florida took you away from us all, but that's okay.
Yes,
You're getting your sunshine.
yes,
But what was
yeah.
it that journeyed you to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm passionate about, and got you to really step foot into that?
Well, that's an interesting story. Well, I did have a loss of one of my loved ones, and I had a lot, it was an emotional time. So I wanted
Is
to
that the one that
find,
sends you the quarters?
yes, yes.
Yes, I
It was
love
the one
that. I
that sent
remember
me
that.
the, yes.
Yes.
And yeah, I told you about it. And so I had some emotional issues around that, surrounding that. And also I want a balance between my work life and my personal life. And actually, spirit kind of guided me because I went to a reading, and the person told me that spirit's telling her that I should start some kind of flexibility exercises. And this is she said something like yoga, Tai Chi. I said, oh, really? She says, yes, that's what I'm hearing, right? So I thought about it after I got done, and I said, yeah, maybe that might work. So I took my first yoga
Planted the
class, and
seed.
then after that is, you know the story. After you take your first yoga class, you are hooked, right?
Yes.
And you like that feeling in my body. Plus, it gets the issues out of the tissues, as they say. The
I love
issues
that.
are in the tissue. So, you know, so the asana, it gets all that out, right? And so that's why I got hooked on it.
I love
It's
it.
a
And
good addiction. Mhm.
it's a good one to have. And
It
I know
is.
you do Pilates as well. I mean, whew, I tell you, you were super. When I started with the yoga, I said, oh my God, I can't keep up with you. It's a good thing.
I
I meant
am physical.
that
I
in
know.
the best way.
True.
So
I'm
that's
doing
great.
this. Pilates now, it's hot Pilates. It's called Pyro Pilates, and you do it in heated environments. And it is strenuous, but it adds Pilates with the HIIT. I don't know if you ever heard of high intensity training. So high intensity training is like you work for at your highest capacity for like 20, 30 seconds, and then you rest for like 10 seconds, and then you're on again and off again. So you're on again, off again. So they combine that with a little bit of Pilates, and like the whole thing is low impact, but it still gives you the heart rate and the cardio that you need. So it's pretty impressive. I really like it.
It's good. The yoga can slow you down. The Pilates can kick up the heart rate there. So it's good balance, right?
It's a good balance. Yes. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how about we dive into a little bit? I know we wanted to discuss some of the yamas and that type of thing. So maybe if you want to give some people, if this is the first time they're hearing of this, a little bit of insight on that.
Okay, so the yamas and the niyamas are kind of like what the 10 commandments are to yoga. So it's kind of our moral code to live by. And I'll just give you one example. One of the yamas is the ahimsa. So ahimsa is the first one, and that means nonviolence. And when people think of nonviolence, they just think of physical fighting and get your fists out. But no,
yeah,
it's not.
It's so funny too, because I remember of all things for you to bring that one up first, it's humorous to me because I remember that was the one that initially really stuck with me when I was getting the training with you, because I went home and I fell asleep and I woke up and there was this fly that was buzzing around and it would not go. And I'm like, oh, this fly. And you know, old me, I'm like, bugs, I'm like, get out of here. Meanwhile, I'm like ready to try and save it and try and capture it and release it outside. And I go to try and save it to capture it, and the buzz, it stopped, like it completely disappeared, almost as if it was a test. And I told you about it and you said, well, okay, you passed the test.
That's right. You worked on it. You worked on it. It's very good.
I guess it worked.
Yes. And it does not only mean physical violence, it means what you say to yourself. You should always be kind and compassionate. The thoughts that run, negative thoughts in your mind, you should always try to catch that before it happens, and then just, change that thought. Yeah.
Because you're retraining your mind, when you're doing these practices. So by recognizing it, you can then see it for what it is. And the more that you recognize and you release it, the more that it will come naturally, that you're not going to be beating yourself up mentally, right?
Right. And if you read the Yoga Sutras, it's all about how the mind is what causes us suffering. The mind is what causes us suffering. So the yoga philosophy helps give us tools that we can work with so we can avoid some of that suffering.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So for people that are looking to dive in more with your yoga therapy, if they're looking for a Zoom session, or for those that are in Florida, how can they go about finding you and learning more?
Okay. The best way to do it is just send me an email, and I usually get back right away. And my email is B as in Becky, Dawson, my last name, and it's yoga, YOGA size, CISE.com. Okay. And I get back to you right away. And I do privates too, also. So not only on Zoom, but in person now. And sometimes I'll do it outside because Florida's like a perfect venue to do it outside. So we'll do it on outside, or you can go to my website. My website is a little different than my email. So it's yoga size, the number 2.com.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'll put those in the show notes, as well as where are the studios that you're teaching now, if people want to look more into that as well, what areas are you in Florida?
I am in St. Augustine. There's a new studio I'm teaching at. It's called Good Karma Studio, and it's on Route 206 in St. Augustine. And then I teach at Bailey's Gym. I teach there 2 times a week, and then I teach at the Villages of Saloy as well. So a couple places, and then I just do my privates in between. Yeah, so it keeps me pretty busy.
Perfect, perfect. So really excited for this next upcoming portion of what we're going to do here in the show. I recommend for all listeners, if you are driving or you're moving, you may want to pause the video right now and hold off until you're in a quiet, calm, grounding space, because Becky is going to guide us in a violet flame meditation.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And I'll just explain a little bit about what it is. Okay. So the violet flame it's very powerful. What it does is it gets rid of all the shadows and then turns them to light. And it gets rid of all like think of it as a vacuum that's vacuuming all these places that are not quite right, right? And so it gets rid of all those blockages that surround your aura. Okay. And how we do it is we connect first to our higher self. So you can ask for protection. I'll call in St. Michael. And then we connect to the higher self. And after we connect to our higher self, then we can bring in the violet flame. And then usually there's a decree. So it's working with your I am, which is the highest presence you can work with. And you make a decree. So whatever decree you make, that the violet flame will help you with that. So it's basically you're making a decree or asking for something, but in the name of your I am. So if you do it in the name of your I am presence, it's more powerful. Okay. So first we'll pull
some
in
examples. Give a few examples of what people may want to make as their decree.
Oh, well, they could just do it in their minds. I mean, whatever they want health.
Mm-hmm.
I am decreeing this perfect health in my body, mind. You know, I am asking and I am decreeing, you know, whatever, you know,
Success, love,
love, new career.
new
You want to
career,
bring a soul
abundance.
me. I'm looking for a soul me. You can decree that, you know, so whatever is special in your heart, whatever your heart's speaking to you.
Perfect.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's just begin by closing your eyes, everyone, and just take a couple inhales and exhales. So you're coming to this place of present moment awareness now. Just going within and forgetting about your to-do list. Just be here in the present moment through the breath. Okay. So now we are going to envision above our head our higher self or our I am presence. It stands above your physical body, at least 15 to 20 feet above your physical body. Picture another body of all white light. This is your I am presence. Feel the connection from the crown into that higher I am presence. Before we begin pulling in the violet flame, we'll ask Archangel Michael to surround us and protect us. So say that 3 times in your mind. Just surround us, Michael, and protect us. And now we're going to ask the angels of the 7 rays to place around us an electronic circle. Picture a circle of violet flame surrounding you, clearing out old debris in your aura, washing everything clean, turning all shadows to light. Focus on that now. And as I say these words, just say them to yourself in your mind, focusing on the violet flame. In the name of the beloved, mighty, victorious presence of God, I am in me. In my very own beloved, holy Christ self, I call to Saint Germain and the angels of the 7th ray. I ask you to say your special decree here. I ask that my call be multiplied and used to assist all souls on this planet who are in need. I thank you, and I accept it done this hour in full power according to the will of God. Take a couple more breaths, connecting with your ions, still connected there. Picture yourself as a pillar of violet flame now. So picture your body as a pillar of the violet flame. Say to yourself, I am the violet fire. I am God's pure desire. I am the violet fire. I am God's pure desire. I am the violet fire. I am God's pure desire. And then you're going to slowly, slowly bring your awareness back to your room. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful. Namaste. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So did you share that from a book or something that you gathered it from?
Yes, I did. It's
Share with
called,
our listeners.
I will share. It's called The Violet Flame, and it's to heal mind, body, and soul. And it's by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. So it's just a little book like this.
I love it. I remember when I came to visit, you said, you've got to get with the violet flame, the violet flame.
That's right. Yes,
it
it's
still
true.
has that strong impact on you today. So that's great. So awesome. Yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
So I know I wanted to close out all of my guest speaker episodes with, I know you already shared a favorite book, favorite spiritual influencer. How about a favorite musician? Someone who really inspires you or who really gets the body moving.
Well, I just love all kinds of music. But I do like, in particular, Carlos Santana.
Okay.
I just love him because I think his music is actually a soul from the soul. It plays from the soul. And I like him. I love his music. And also Enya. I just love Enya. I have a thing for her. I really love her. But there's so many great artists, out. It's so hard to choose.
It is. But well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure hopefully one of these things have resonated with some people who are listening at home or wherever they are at right now. And so happy and grateful and thankful to have you here on this Heavenly Pennies episode, Becky. Much love and joy sent to you in Florida. And maybe we can get you back on again.
Okay, that would be nice. All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. It's been a pleasure talking to you and your audience.
Good seeing you. All right. Bye, Becky.
Good seeing you. Bye-bye.